everybody, and welcome back to the Youth Got Next podcast. We are doing the flyover plan of the Wayfinding Bible, and we're on stop 14. We're marching through this thing. Stop 14. Wow. My name is Isaac Sladen, and I am here with
Youth Pastor Tom Demers.
Either one.
All the above.
Got multiple nicknames.
Yeah,
Either one works. Yeah. Today we're on stop 14, and we're talking about the fall of Jericho. I think this is one of the other popular stories of the Old Testament.
VeggieTales called it Josh and the Big Wall.
Boom. Yeah. Josh and the Big Wall. That's where we're going to be today. And we were talking before we started filming just about how, like, you look at the story and you say, like, okay, this is only God. Like, This is the only explanation you can get from this. And that's where we're going to be today.
So the opening scene here is Joshua is a little nervous because it's about time to, go do some war type stuff. He's going to take out some of the towns of the promised land because they're finally getting into the promised land.
Yeah.
Moses has died. Joshua is now in charge, and he's a little nervous, and they're getting close to the town of Jericho, and he looks up, and he sees this man with a sword, and he's like, you friend or foe?
Yeah.
And the man says...
His response is amazing.
Neither one. I am the commander of the Lord's army. You're like, oh. Okay.
Didn't know.
And then the commander of the Lord's army tells him to take off his shoes.
Go ahead and take those shoes off, too.
Ground. So... Joshua is a pretty smart guy. He goes, so what do you want me to do? And wow, what happens next is just wild.
And I even think like put yourself in that spot real quick. Like you're standing there. I don't know what my response would be when I find that out. Like I think his response is great. Like he said he falls down to his face. He's
down.
like, I'm at your command, which is like, I don't know what would your response like be?
Well, not to put too fine a point on it, but I think I would have fallen down and probably peed my pants.
Yeah.
Too.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Because this is like you are in the presence of like.
Well, here's the cool thing. Whenever you see any indication of holy, this is what is called a Christophany or a theophany. So this is the Son of God making himself visible. He's not become human yet. He's not Jesus in the flesh, but he's visible. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, not a lot of people got to say, so what did you do today? Oh, well, just the usual, and I saw the Son of God.
Yeah.
Imagine
just casual.
The dinner conversation for Joshua
that night. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was just the presence of the Son of God today. Just no big deal.
Not that we know that happened. Okay? Yeah. That's not in the Bible.
Just little,
we're just
story that we're making up there. Okay, so fall of Jericho. Once again, I feel like whenever we do these podcasts, I'm the one that like gives like the notes that it gives. But it's just because like
it's so cool.
It's so cool, and it's very helpful too, just to give you more insight on like background of what was happening that day, background of just like little notes that maybe you didn't think of it that way, new perspective on things. I think it's super cool. But one of the observation points, and the one that it has here, I'll just go ahead and read it. It says this: capturing Jericho involved both religious rituals and military strategy. It says military tactics of this time period included besieging the city, circling around it, and blowing the ram's horn as a signal of battle. Religious practices included the following: behind the ark, a symbol of God's presence, using the sacred number 7 and its multiples, and shouting to celebrate God's victory. This was a new kind of warfare led by God. And that's what we see right here. So what kind of happens here, like as this plan?
Well, I think in the modern day, we would use the term shock and awe, right, to describe what's happening. But it's a different kind of shock and awe than they were used to. And I think it's good to remember what we talked about last time, and that is these people who have been wandering around in the wilderness for 40 years have been following a God who makes himself visible in the form of a fiery pillar that's always over the tabernacle where they worship.
Yeah.
And imagine you're the people of Jericho. If you read, it tells us they pretty much locked the city down tight. They're like, we're locked down.
No one's getting in. No one's getting out.
Nobody's going anywhere. And so when this large group of people shows up and they do all of these things that we're about to talk about, it's a pretty scary time.
Yeah.
Because this is what happens. The instruction is, all right, now here's what I want you to do. Get your priests, get the Ark of the Covenant. We're going to march around the city.
Boom.
And we're going to do it one time each day, and nobody talks.
Nothing.
Total silence.
Just marching.
That's it. And then when you're done, you go home.
Yeah.
So imagine you're like living in Jericho. All these people show up and nothing happens. They just march around the city. They're quiet.
I would be kind of weirded out.
I would be so weirded out. If I was inside
the city walls, I'd be like,
and your trade has stopped.
Yeah.
Right? You can't do business. And I don't know. I'd be like standing on the wall going, what are they going to do?
What are they doing?
And that happened 6 days in a row. And you got to wonder if like day 6, the newspaper, local paper says, day 6 of walking around, very quiet. Maybe they're almost done. We don't know. These people are weird.
Yeah.
And then day 7 comes.
Yeah. And day 7, and I'm going to read the verse just so I want to make sure I get it right. Day 7 comes, and it says this: on the 7th day, the Israelites got up at dawn and marched around the town as they had done before. Yeah. Normal 7th day.
6 days in a row.
6 days in a row. Here's the 7th day in a row. This time switches. It says, but this time they went around the town 7 times.
Yes.
Not just once, you're done, you go home, boom, did it for the day. March 7 times. That had to be like a pretty
that's a lot of walking.
Hefty amount of walking.
Especially if you're the priest carrying the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, yeah. You're doing that a lot. And then the verse after that, verse 16 says this: the 7th time around, as the priests sounded the long blast on their horns, Joshua commanded the people, shout, for the Lord has given you the town. Verse 17, Jericho and everything in it must be completely destroyed as an offering to the Lord. Only Rahab the prostitute and the others in her house will be spared, for she protected our spies.
And what we don't see here, but you just mentioned it, is before they actually did this invasion, Joshua sent 2 spies, and Rahab protected them, which is why her family gets to live.
Yeah.
So 7 times, and at the end, massive shout.
Massive amounts of noise happen.
And then the walls fall down.
Boom.
Which opens up the city for them the Israelites to go in
and take and capture.
And everything. Now, here's the wild thing. Everything is destroyed.
Yeah.
And I know we struggle with that, right? Because how can God allow these people to be destroyed? Remember, they had been disobedient for many generations.
Yeah.
And this was their judgment. And God used Israel to do that. But one of the wild things is usually in war, if you are the winner, you get to take all of the stuff, I get all of your gold, all of your silver, all of your clothing, all of your outfits,
everything.
all of your pots, whatever you have, I get it all.
Yeah.
God said, don't take anything. Just leave it there, burn the city. And it's basically kind of an offering to God. Basically saying, okay, first city we take, we're going to trust that you'll let us keep doing this. And the only people that made it out alive from Jericho was Rahab and her family.
Who helped.
And then, just to kind of put the icing on the cake, Joshua says, oh, by the way, anybody who rebuilds this city, we're going to put a curse on them. A curse on them. And the curse is basically this: if you rebuild the town, then your firstborn son will die. And if you lay a foundation for it, then your youngest son will die if you set up the gates.
Not good news.
No matter what you do, you're losing family members. And the wild thing to me, later on, not in this story, some man does that. Imagine you're his oldest son. Dad, what are you doing?
Thank you, Dad. Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah.
Sorry, bud. I had to do it.
That's wild.
So here we are. How do you think you would have felt if you were there as an Israelite that day, right? You know, you've been walking around the city for 7 days.
Yeah.
And you're like, I know God's real.
I know.
What is happening?
I want to trust him. I want
happening?
To. He's telling me to do this. What is happening? I think I would have been, I feel like towards the end of maybe day 5 or 6, I would have that mindset of okay, you told us to do this. We're getting close to the end here. Are you sure you're gonna come through? And then whenever I hear, all right, we're not just doing it once, we're about to do 7 times that. We're doing the 7. I'd be like,
something's happening.
Are you kidding me right now? Something's up, but I would be filled with okay, something's about to happen because this is more than what we've done. But then I probably would have had a sense of wow, seeing the scene happen of the loud shout, the walls falling down, them taking the city, an element of, okay, wow, God is really leading us, guiding us, being obedient to him is worth it. But also just it's a crazy scene, to picture a city crumbling down.
And there's been a lot of people who try to explain what happened from a natural perspective. I don't think you can or should.
No.
God caused the walls to fall.
This is God.
Done.
Yeah. You
How?
see that.
Doesn't really matter.
And it happening in like we talked earlier, in the strategy that he used.
Yeah.
This was different than what people were normally doing. So there's his element right there.
Yes.
You see him working in the city actually happening.
Because they don't fight.
No.
They just are there.
They're just there and it happens.
And Rahab's house stays.
Yes.
Natural
Insane.
phenomena, all levels.
No.
Yeah.
All God.
Yeah.
This is a wild. How would you have felt? I'll ask you that.
Well, especially since they had yet to go into the land.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what is happening right now? And what can this God that I worship actually do?
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm missing out on something.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's part of it. Now, if I was in the city of Jericho, I would have been afraid.
Oh, yeah.
And then the reality is I would have been dead. So it wouldn't have mattered. I think the cool thing is Rahab believed God. And what we'll see when you read through scripture, she actually ends up being in the line of Christ. How cool is that? Sometimes you may think, oh, I don't know. I've done some bad stuff. And I don't know if God can use me. Well, God used Rahab.
Look at what he does here.
Because she trusted that he was who he said he was. And so she goes from being a part of the city of Jericho to being one of the people of Israel.
That's good.
And then actually becomes a part of the line of the Messiah. I don't think it gets any cooler than that.
No.
Like, I'm Jesus' great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother.
That's amazing.
Wow.
I love how you said too, like, maybe you think God can't use you.
Yeah.
We see here, you never know what God can do through one act of being obedient to him. Yes. Whatever that looks like for you. Again, we don't know what that looks like for you who are watching, but you do. Yeah. And if you don't, ask God to show you, and he will. If you ask and believe that he will, he'll show you. And so that I like how you connected that. You'll never know what God can do through one act of obedience.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's good. Well, we are done with our flyover of episode 14, The Fall of Jericho.
Yeah.
Follow us, listen, check out our other podcasts. You can see us on YouTube.
Yeah.
Follow
share
us on
this
Instagram,
with people.
Share it.
Message it to them. Comment down below.
YTH.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us. See you next time.
Until next time.